Hi, let's do the sunset report now from an empty, closed actually, coffee shop in Ormond Beach. The sun is currently setting in Shannon, Ireland. I don't think there's much of a Jewish community there. That's basically the western part of Ireland, a country I have never been to, despite the fact that I've been to quite a few countries and quite a few of the ones in Europe. Never Ireland, though, even though I suppose it's the closest one to the east coast, or at least the northeast part of the United States. So this, I will point out that the city of Dublin recently decided to put a Palestinian flag up there, very bizarre. And I learned something interesting from my friends Nora and Seth Tillman, that apparently in Northern Ireland, the Catholics, almost as if it's a sports team, identify with the so-called Palestinians, and the Protestants in Northern Ireland identify with the Jews. I don't know. It's just a thing. It's kind of bizarre. It caught me off guard. But very interesting time I had talking with them. That was a midday report I did the day after Passover ended, or sometime around late April. I'll have to find it. I don't have a link up there to it. So this week talks about blessings and curses in the Torah. I like to do something related to the Torah, at least share it with you. A lot of the times I have thoughts off the top of my head. This is not one of the times. I have not really studied the Torah reading this week. So I'm going to read you something good in a minute, and I'm going to put the link up there after I broadcast this. So it'll be up there if you watch it after the fact when you first see it. It's about blessings and curses. There are two parts in the 5 books of Moses that deal with that. In Deuteronomy, we're at the last 2 readings in Leviticus right now, which are often combined. It really depends whether it's a leap year or not. Most years they're read the same week. It's the last 2 in Leviticus, so we'll be on to Numbers next week. There is another section with blessings and curses, and that's actually my bar mitzvah reading. My bar mitzvah, even though my birthday is in late July, was held in mid-September many years ago. And there's another long blessings and curses section. As with a lot of things in Deuteronomy, it's often something of a repeat from the previous one with some variations. But this week, there is blessings and curses are gone over, and I'll try to put a link up there, in the second of the 2 readings from the very end of Leviticus. So let me read you what someone named Rabbi Yaakov Menken has written. This is up at Torah.org. I've heard his name a number of times. I think he's a popular teacher. I don't know who he is. I wouldn't know what he has looked like, but I've probably read a lot of his stuff through the years. So I'm just going to read this to you. If anything comes to mind, so be it. Otherwise, I will just read it, and if a thought comes to mind, I'll share it. In this week's reading, God promises His blessings if we follow in His ways, and may we see no more. Curses if we do not. Rabbi Avraham ibn Ezra questions... Wait, that first sentence didn't make sense. Oh, it's just, hey, may we see no more of these. Let me reread it the right way. In this week's reading, God promises His blessings if we follow in His ways, and may we see no more of this. Curses if we do not. Rabbi Avraham ibn Ezra questions why the curses are so much longer than the blessings. There are 11 verses of blessing, while the section of curses is 3 times as long. This is strange, especially because we find throughout Jewish thought that God's attribute of goodness is stronger than any attribute of punishment. And an interesting thing, someone mentioned, the rabbi, I think it was 2 weeks ago here in Ormond Beach, that look at the number of verses that are used to discuss creation, not that many, and how many to build the tabernacle in the desert, considerably more, and then considerably more than that, how many are used in the Torah to describe what you can and cannot do on Shabbos. It's as if that's much more important than, that is emphasized much more than the creation of the tabernacle, which is more important than even creation, at least in that respect. And, the Shabbos is very important. I talked about that in my midday report not that long ago, and maybe Ivanka and Jared are listening, who apparently are going to fly on an airplane during Shabbos. Yeah, we won't get into that. Back to what Rabbi Menken writes. The Tosefes Bracha provides an insightful answer. The good must be said briefly, he says, because if anything is missing from it, then it is no longer good. Meaning, if a person is wealthy, he is in a good situation, but if he is ill, you can no longer call his situation good. If he has both wealth and health, but has not been blessed with children, well, I do have health, at least, I don't know about wealth or children, then once again his circumstances are no longer entirely good. And if he has children, but they are rebellious and have nothing to do with him, again, it's not so good. So whenever good is specified, it must be fulfilled in its entirety. When it comes to misfortune, just the opposite is true. Even a single misfortune is bad, and piling one upon another simply makes matters worse. If an impoverished person is also sick, his misfortune is still greater than if he had suffered only one or the other. So this is the reason, says the Tosafos Baracha, that the blessings are stated briefly. For if there is any deviation from them, then the blessing is defective and not truly good. So it's got to be perfect. I guess not quite the same as the perfect is the enemy of the good in this case. When any type of blessing is specified, there is an expectation that it will be fulfilled. And if it is not, then the person feels the lack of that particular type of blessing, and the good is missing. But on the negative side, one bad thing can be piled upon the other without limit, and thus the curses can be stated at length. The truth of the matter is that no one is entirely blessed in this world. There isn't a person on the planet who has nothing to worry about, even Tom Brady. No, that's my addition there. This being the case, a person cannot escape from worry by building a successful business, exercising daily, or by consulting the best of psychotherapists. The only thing one can do is develop trust in God. Religion is hardly an opiate. An opiate, that's Karl Marx's term, but a religious outlook is necessary for true satisfaction to be possible. One of the most fundamental concepts in Jewish thought is that God cares about each individual and creates a situation for him or her which is in fact ideal. Not ideal as in relaxed or free from worries, but ideal for spiritual growth. This is true no matter how it might appear to our eyes, and therefore our situation is good after all. Whatever the test is, we can pass it and grow in the process. By the way, my personal experience, I might not have said that much earlier in life, but I agree with that. Last paragraph. The only thing we must do then is realize that this is true. Spiritual giants are capable of suffering even the worst of situations with a smile and true satisfaction with their station in life. The book Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl, who was a major psychologist and a concentration camp survivor, I think Auschwitz, in fact. Maybe it wasn't Auschwitz, I don't remember. But it comes to mind right now. Spiritual giants are capable of suffering even the worst of situations with a smile. I should be smiling. I'm not suffering the worst of situations right now. I can at least smile for you, all right? And true satisfaction with their station in life. That is a treasure worth far more than a vault full of diamonds. Well, a vault's a lot of diamonds. And one which all of us can hope to unearth within ourselves. Good Shabbos. That's from Rabbi Yaakov Menken. And hey, have a nice weekend, though I'll be back doing one of these Sunday morning at some point. Hopefully early, hopefully around 6:30 when the sun rises, but no promises. And as we say in Hebrew, Shabbat Shalom. As we say in Yiddish, Good Shabbos. Or really, as they say in Hebrew, as they say in Yiddish. I don't speak either of those languages, but I'm familiar enough with some terms. And as we say in English, Good Sabbath.